Good evening, participants. Thank you for joining today's open house on updation of account type field in UCC database. With that subject, we have recently on 30th June 2025, which is a couple of days back, we have issued a circular in which we have provided with some details. And today's open house is specifically kept as an explanatory session so that we can communicate across to all of you about the key change that is going to happen through this particular circular and what are the important aspects that you need to keep in mind before the deadline, which is very soon being effective into. So today, to explain all the aspects to all of you, I have with me my colleagues Ms. Shanti Idnani, Mr. Himanshu Bocha, and Mr. Ashish Tiwari. So without a further ado, I'd like to ask Shanti to just give a brief overview and then we can run you through all the content that we are going to explain today. Shanti, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, friends. So, as we are all aware, the direct payout phase one has already gone live, and it's running successfully for the past some months. With effect, as we had released a circular on May 26th, wherein we have said that we had extended the timelines till 7th of July, which is very soon. So we just thought that we will give you an updation of what is actually going to happen on 7th of July, so that you all are all prepared. There are two things which are going to happen. The direct payouts, as they are running, will keep happening. But the next problem, the next point of concentration for you, for everybody, is that you need to ensure that whoever has a valid demat account will only be allowed to trade in the securities market. They will not be allowed to trade in the cash market segment if it is not validated. Now, what do you mean by a valid demat account? Okay, so your demat account details that you upload in UCC, which is as primary, whichever demat account you tag as primary, that primary demat account has to be the first holder's account only. Suppose it is my PAN, so I should be the first holder of that demat account. It cannot be that I'm the second holder. The depositories will reject it and it will become invalid. Another point which you need to concentrate is while you're uploading the UCC details, okay, please ensure if it's a new client or new demat account, ensure that your demat account is created first, then you update the UCC, because as soon as you update the UCC, there is a validation which happens, and in case the demat account is not created, it will give exchanges a result that it is an invalid demat account and the record will not be permitted to trade. So these are for the client validations. Now coming back there, so there is an aspect. There are certain certain exceptions which we have given so that for ease of trading. So one of them is if your TM code is equal to client code, that is which we consider as prop trades, where TM code is equal to client code, that will be an exemption. The second exemption is for where it is your own PAN, a member's own PAN, and the client error field, the field client type, account type field has been populated with error. Those UCCs will be eliminated, will be given an exemption from becoming not permitted to trade. Now, the demat account has to be valid. If and it will not be deemed as not permitted to trade in case the demat account is not valid, but the error code has been populated. Populating this error code is of utmost importance. So these are the 2 points which you really need to take in mind. Apart from that, whenever your client suppose you we have given back a file which states that, because we will be giving you files, we keep giving you daily basis files, right, which is valid, which is invalid for demat accounts. Now if you see a demat account being invalid, please update the demat account and upload the details again. We will send it in for validation and it can become permitted to trade in the next session. So as usual, whatever becomes validated today, permitted to trade today, will be able to trade in the next session. So this is a broad sequence. Now just to bring around one small important aspect also before we proceed with the slides. Okay, our colleagues will proceed with the slides, but one important thing that you should notice, there was a circular in I think it was in 17th April, wherein what happened was that if there is no designated error account, then you will be levied a penalty of 10,000 per month, if I'm right, right? Right. So when a record an error code becomes NP, not permitted to trade, so it will be deemed as the record. There is no designated error account, so you will be liable to a penalty of 10,000 rupees. Apart from penalty, that is one aspect of penalty. The other aspect is you will not be able to transfer your trades to error account. So that is a dual implication. So we urge you. We've been sending mailers, but we urge you to please update this error field, the account type field, with error or own, so that this transition happens in a seamless manner. It is very essential. Otherwise, again, we will have a lot of confusion. Monday ko market has started, we are not able to transfer to error. Ab kya kare? Kuch that time it will not be able to handle. That's the reason we have been stressing for some time by sending mailers, and that's the reason we have come to you to please get this updated. You have time, 2 days. It's not a big thing for each member to get it updated. Ensure each segment has a valid error account designated field so that we can proceed smoothly, and a very small percentage is left for transition. Let's have it smoothly. Thank you. I hope I get that support. Over to
Sure. So
Himanshu.
before Himanshu just proceeds with the explanation, again to sensitize what Shanti explained, the changes are effective July 7th, 2025, which is the coming Monday, right, Shanti?
Right,
So
right.
that is very important point to note, members, because you only have 3 working days left now. Two
Days.
working days. Sorry, not even 3 working days. 2 working days left now to do the needful for respective aspects. So yes, Himanshu, please go ahead.
To proceed with the presentation, over to Himanshu.
So, as we all know, with effect from Feb 2025, we had this phase one, direct payout phase one in cash segment. So, I would be bifurcating what exactly in phase one the pointers were covered. So, all the UCCs with primary validated demat account were sent to CC for the purpose of direct payouts. And then the UCCs which had primary demat accounts that were validated were permitted to trade, but the payouts were going to the trading members or the CC's pool account. So that was covered in the direct payout phase one. So now we'll just jump into the direct payout phase two. So in phase two, which is going live on July 7, which consists of UCCs which are belonging to cash segment, capital market segment, with de- primary demat accounts are validated shall not be permitted to trade in capital markets. So specifically, which the primary demat accounts which are not validated will be marked as not permitted to trade in capital market segment. Now there are some exceptions. There are certain exemptions for the direct payout phase two. So first, as Shanti ma'am told previously, the TM code, which is equal to the client code, that would be an own account, and then the TM own accounts where the client type or the account type is selected as error. Other than that, these would be exempted for the direct payout phase two. All the custodian settled clients are exempted with the direct payout phase two. So that's the reason it is very essential that we enter valid custodian participant codes in the UCC database so that there is smooth transition. Okay. Uh, Other than that, all the institutional clients with depository receipts are exempted as of now with the direct payout phase two. Now we'll jump into the updation of account type. So account type field was introduced to capture the type of the UCC which was created as own, error, or client. So specifically in phase two, if the UCC contains the PAN of the trading member, then the account type should be own or error. Uh, then if the trading member or the client needs to avoid to mark the UCC as not permitted to trade, he needs to select account type as own or oblique error.
And just to be mindful, they have to check the exact spelling also, right? So if there is a typo, should that be okay, or it has to be exact spelling which is displaying over screen? From the front end, obviously there is a drop down for own and error, but exactly when APIs are built for most of the members and the members are uploading file based also. So systems, I guess, are in place at the members end with own and error. But yes, mindful that in case you're doing a typo, just make sure that there's no typographical error so that so I'll just reiterate on this point. Suppose
trading member A has two UCCs, A and his own account, that is TM code equal to client code, and his own PAN. That TM code equal to client code should be categorically marked as own. And if there is an error account, whichever segment, you have to mark it as error, because now in the client name you cannot put in as error, because otherwise it will not get validated with income tax. I'll come to the validations later on, but it will not get validated with income tax. Hence, it is very essential that the account type field is populated with the word error to get it highlighted, because that is how the income tax process goes forth. So if this is done, then your record will for own an error own account as an own account when TM code is equal to client code. That is a specific thing. TM code equal to client code will be as own, and where it is error, it has to be errors for each and every segment. Now, in case it is not marked as error, that particular UCC for CM segment will not be permitted to trade. Please be mindful. That will create problems subsequently. This is a screenshot how from the front end where you can populate.
Correct.
Himanshu,
So here we can see, for example, this is the front end view for the client code selected as error. So in capital market segment, and in the downside, account type is selected as error. So it is mandatory if you have a error account or own account, you need to select as an account type error
or
or
own with respect to
respectively. For the error, you need to select as error, and if the TM code is equal to the UCC, then you need to select as own account. Uh,
over to Ash.
Over to Ash.
Thanks, Himanshu. Uh, Good evening, everyone. So I think Shanti ma'am has already explained why do we need error account, the pros and the cons. So the reason why we are having this joint open house is to highlight to the members that the tagging which is not made properly, it will have an impact on client code modification circular as well. So that is the reason, in case if it is not tagged correctly, the client code will be marked as not permitted to trade. And in case if it is an error account, it will further lead to non-compliance of client code modification circular, which has a penalty of 10,000 per month. So member have to be aware that in each of the segments, the client code error account is not transferred to not permitted to trade. They have to ensure that the account is properly tagged and the demat is validated. The client code modification circular is not applicable to proprietary members, so they are exempt from the circular. Just to highlight that what is the difference which we are doing post July 7th. So earlier, any trading member having nomenclature as error or error percentage, wherein it can be a percentage in name or code, we used to treat it as a designated error account, and the penalty was not levied to those members. However, now we will be tagging this error code only through the tagging which you do it in the system. So if it is not tagged properly, we will not be considering those account as an error account, and then it will attract a penalty of 10,000 per month. So member have to be aware that they have to target as per previous slide all the error accounts as error. The account type should be error. Over to Shanti.
Now, just as I'm sure all of us are very well aware about what are the prerequisites for a UCC to become as permitted to trade. But we thought we'll just give you a brief overview to have. So there are various validations. One is PAN validation. Now, what is PAN validation? Earlier, we used to get when we were searching for the PAN name with the PAN, we used to get an output of name. So that's how we used to do a validation. But now, with the changes in the income tax provisions, we have to supply the name, the PAN, and the date of birth. The name has to be exactly equal either as per income tax records or as per the PAN card, which is available for all of us to see. So that is an easier option. So it has to be exactly equal. Then it will be considered as a PAN validation being successful. Okay. So date of birth or date of incorporation as per income tax, PAN has to be valid and client name has. So then PAN validation will be considered as successful. Next, we come to KRA validation. So we are all aware that whichever PAN is registered, a new client comes, the KYC of the PAN of the client has to be registered with the KRAs. The KRA should provide the status as registered or validated. Those PANs will be considered. If the status of the PAN is on hold, then KRA validation will not be successful, and we will not. This will be one parameter wherein we will not be able to permit the client to as valid for trading. So the KRA validation should not be on hold. Okay. So one of the major reason for not on matlab, for on hold, sorry, is that the mobile or email validation is not completed. Valid 6 KYC attributes. So first thing is successful PAN validation. The next is client name, valid address. Okay, so valid address may there are 3 4 points which we need to. What is a valid address? The address line 1 should not be blank. 1 and 2 should not be the same. 2 and 3 should not be the same. Okay. Then we come down to mobile number. So mobile, it has to be a proper mobile number, 10-digit mobile number, and it cannot be a dummy mobile numbers. For example, all ones, all twos, threes, and so on and so forth. Uh, Client email ID should not be. Earlier, before we went with 6 KYC attributes, there was a provision to provide not provided and not provided form. This is no longer valid. You need to provide a proper valid mobile email ID. And the last is the income and the net worth detail, gross income, or net worth details, whichever is applicable, depending on the client category, needs to be provided. So these are the existing as on date parameters for considering a UCC to be permitted to trade in the market for across all segments. Coming 7th July, a new validation will be there, condition will be there, and this is mainly only for the CM segment, capital market segment. So I'll just come. So as I have stated earlier, the primary demat account has to be termed as valid by the depositories. So it is not exchanges who are giving it as valid or invalid. It is the depositories who are giving us the value as valid or invalid, or whatever is the status at the depository end. So if it is not validated, if it comes as invalid or any other status apart from valid from the depositories, it is not going to be permitted to trade. Very important. So how do we consider, how does the depository consider to be valid? As I have stated earlier, demat account of the first holder has to be provided. If the UCC belongs to me, only my own demat account wherein I am the first holder has to be provided. Okay. So that is very essential. Obviously, demat account must be active. As I had stated earlier, ensure your demat account is active before you upload the UCC to the exchange. Because in the initial phases we had seen these concerns that have dwindled down. Agreed. All of you are taking care, but just a refresher that just be mindful of these parameters. So UCC to be created, as I had stated, it has to be created only when it is activated. So to summarize everything, so for every client, when I say active, we mean permitted to trade client. Wherever the status of the client code UCC is permitted to trade as per the exchange records. Account type needs to be updated for own error or client. Specifically for own and error, please ensure it is updated immediately because that is going to impact with effect from Monday. Okay. For every client type, primary demat account needs to be validated. So client, even if it is client, demat account has to be validated. Okay. If it is not validated, you will not. Validation is something which we will do, yes, as an exchange. But then the status has to come validated from the depositories, and that is important, Swalant, because what happens is if they, we've seen cases where trading members are they are creating the UCCs, they are creating demat accounts simultaneously. Right. Demat account is not getting active. We send the validation for validation. I'm getting a status as inactive. Then as of now, it was not impacting. Only the payouts were getting impacted. Now you will not be allowed to trade on this. So correct. Obviously, then there can be concerns and complaints can increase. Correct. So be mindful of what we are doing. Okay? Every member has to have at least one active permitted to trade UCC of own PAN, mind you, own PAN with client type as error in each segment. Okay. Okay. So otherwise you will be levied a penalty of 10,000. As Ashish has explained that we will no longer consider any other parameter. We'll just go by the account type field. If error has not been provided updated, it will be considered as the record has not error account has not been created, provided, yeah, designated, and a penalty of 10,000 per month shall be levied. So it is very important. So again, I'll repeat two important aspects. You see, Demat account has to be validated in the CN segment for it to be permitted to trade. If it is invalid, we will not be allowed to, that client will not be allowed to trade in the market, in the cash market segment. Second part is error account has to be populated, because even the exemption that is being given, we are giving an exemption, but then that exempt for a valid demat account, but the exemption is being given to error accounts only. So this doesn't mean that your own account hai, error account hai, khud ka hi hai, so you give a wrong, the demat account is not valid. It has to be valid. Ideally, the demat account has to be valid, so then there will be no concerns. Let's hope, let's ensure that we have a very smooth transition, Janam, so that everybody is happy and clients get all the shares, all the trades are they able to do.
No, sure. And as you have rightly emphasized just now, also active here means permitted to trade, right?
Perfect.
So that also member have to understand that active means permitted to trade.
Perfect.
Okay.
Because a client member may can mark a UCC as active, because that is the primary one of the reasons for a client, because if it's inactive and all the parameters are satisfied,
Correct.
again it will not be permitted to trade. So it has client code has to be active. That is the first prerequisite. But client code being active is not the only prerequisite. As I've given the six the other attributes, those have to be ensured so that a record is permitted to trade. And now more so validated demat accounts.
No, definitely the last part of the summarization, we are hopeful that members were pretty much clear what they need to do and how much efforts they are required to put in at the earliest, so that before the deadline they are very much smooth and through. And as members, in the starting of the session itself, I mentioned that this meant to be an explanatory session wherein we wanted to highlight the key changes for all your queries and questions. Definitely, we are doing a subsequent follow-on session where the main focus would be towards answering and addressing your queries, which you'll be able to put in through the live session itself. And there we'll try to address most of the queries. But till then or after that, also Shanti and Ashish, in case members are having any queries, are there any coordinates they can write to and get their queries resolved if you want to mention?
For UCC, for the permitted to trade aspect, they can always, the members are aware, they can always reach out at UCI on at nsc.co.in. So we are always there during working hours. We'll be able to help out and ensure that the queries are handled.
The ID you mentioned is uci@nsc.co.in, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other aspect for which Ashish they need to write in case you want to mention that part?
So in case if you have any query with respect to client code modification, you can reach out on DL-CCM-INVSG ID, which is already there in the circular number 56395.
Okay. So under the circular 56395, the email ID is mentioned on which for the particular aspects related to investigation they can write.
Right.
Definitely, members, as we mentioned, we are having a follow-up session for which the session details you would be getting through our regional member relations team, which we are hoping that you will be joining to and your queries will be addressed. Definitely, we'll try to address as many queries as possible, and our both the teams will be happy to help you out. As Shanti rightly mentioned that we are hoping that this transition happens very smoothly with efforts and help from all of you as members. Our teams are geared up to help you out in whatever capacity possible. Any concluding remarks, Ashish, Himanshu, Shanti, you want to make before concluding session today?
So I think we are already trying to reach each of the members who are in non-compliance. So our only request is that please read the email IDs. Please read the email. In case if you have any query, write back to us. We are very much available. We are very much supportive. We will try to resolve the queries as soon as possible.
There is I would just like to reiterate what we had given earlier. So just to summarize everything at one go again, because this is important. That's the reason we are stressing out so much. The thing is, UCC own account has own error has to be populated for in the account type field. Wherever the demat account is not primary, like please ensure primary demat account, whichever demat account you are designating as primary for your own account or your client account, it has to be the primary holder's demat account to get it validated. The status of validation or invalid will come from the depositories. They are going to give it to us. Each member is required to have at least one uh, permitted to trade active UCC for own account, where they will designate the account type as error, and this is for each and every segment. This will help them to avoid penalty of 10,000 per month. And be mindful that if your any particular UCC is marked as invalid demat account, that UCC will not be permitted to trade in the capital market segment of the exchange. So these are very important attributes to keep in mind, and you can reach out to us. We have been sending mailers with the data where we need to whichever are invalid demat accounts, we have been sending. We have sent out mailers for primary for error account has not been updated. We have some sent out mailers. We are also giving calls to members. So please ensure, while we are also trying to help each and every one of you, the first step to helping is when you help yourself. So that is very important. Please ensure that you give me a valid, proper CP code details in the UCC, valid account types populated for error and own. Then you're ensure that you have an each and every segment, you have your own PAN nominated in one of the UCCs as error. In each segment, it has to be designated as error account in each of the segment. This will help you and it will help us to have a smooth transition. That's the best I can say. And
just a small point, Shanti. I mean, as both of you mentioned that the respective members' emailers are already sent, right?
Yeah.
So, do you want to just tell them in case somebody has not referred? So, what can be the possible subject line through which the emailer has gone so that they can identify in case they have not referred?
Yeah, so some of the account type data which was sent. So the subject line was updation of account types of trading members and the clients, and the other part which was invalid DP details which were with the trading members. So with the subject line, the enhancement of the demat account securities with the invalid demat accounts.
Understood.
And CP codes.
Okay, so this indicative liners also will be helping to
While we
identify
should
the
not
emailers.
exact verbatim,
Exactly.
because we are giving just offhand, but these are the primary keywords which you can search and you will get. We have
Perfect,
been
members.
sending
So you
some
can
emails.
identify, definitely members will be identifying and they'll be doing the needful. And if I may also ask, in case you can give possible, a possibility that in coming 2 days, are you planning to send emailers again? If you can indicate that, if there is any plan.
So
Yes.
for error account, yeah, we do, and we are in fact calling members also.
Okay.
So
We
whoever
are calling up members also,
Yeah.
and we are sending emailers also.
On daily basis, from now next 2 days, we would be sending the invalid data, which
Okay.
is totally pending for making this permitted to trade, and all the account type data about error and own account would be sending out to the trading members on daily basis.
Perfect.
We've been sending for quite some time now. Since 1 month, we've been sending on mailers.
Mhm.
So it's not that last minute here, but
Understood.
yes, people need to hear.
Sure.
We have reduced a lot. The invalid counts have come down drastically, and members are doing a commendable job in that.
Correct.
I can very well say एक last छोटा सा leg बच गया है, बस वो निकालना है उसको.
We are sure that members will be full blown helping out to clear this out as well. So I guess with this, members, we are calling this session off. Thank you for hearing this session. As we mentioned, we are planning for the follow-up session for addressing your queries, for which we'll be sharing the coordinates through our regional member relations team. So we will be hoping you to join that session as well and raise your query. So thank you for joining, and I thank my colleagues also on behalf of NSC and on behalf of each one of you. Thank you for hearing this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best.